Let's paint some more Olympians from the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, more specifically the Norwegian speed skating team that took part in the 3,000 meter men's team pursuit. At the end of the 2022 Winter Olympics, I created a series of 9 images to celebrate the achievements of the Norwegian gold medalists. I have to admit that skating isn't really a sport I watch a lot, which made it very important for me to create a lot of sketches. What also made this event more interesting to sketch was that it's an event that's skated by teams of 3 skaters, with 2 teams on the ice at the same time that start on opposite sides of the track. So it was important to paint them as a team rather than individual skaters. I mostly used references from the 2022 Beijing Olympics for this one because I wanted to make sure that I painted the correct members of the team. Considering that each of the skaters have a different height, build and features, it was important to make sure that I got them all right. The references were also essential in ensuring I captured the poses and formations correctly. If you have any questions about my process, please let me know in the comments. I would love to share a lot more about how I work, but sometimes it's tricky to know what information people are wanting, so please let me know if there's anything you wish I covered or covered more in depth. The colour palette in this image does vary from the previous image I shared, but that's not all that strange as my colour palette was influenced by the outfits that varied depending on the different disciplines. The red in this outfit is a lot warmer than the one used in the biathlon image. However, the dark blue colour and the skin colour were used consistently throughout the series. Another thing I did to keep the series consistent was to have one pose of the image be the main focus, but I'd have other snippets of the action dotted around the image. For this one, I decided to keep it simple and only paint the team twice, one for the big focus and the other one in the foreground. However, as this is a pursuit event, I also decided to add the other team in the background, though that was actually a copy of the foreground team, scaled down with some minor changes to the colour. With most of the other Olympic events, the athletes wear bib numbers. These also tend to feature the Olympic rings and the Olympic city and the year. However, as skaters don't wear these, I added the Olympic rings to the background, which also reflects how the Olympic rings were featured in the centre of the rink. This is actually the second image I painted in the series of 9, and it wasn't until I was working on this one that I decided to add that half-tone texture to the background. So, I ended up revisiting the first image and adding it there, as well as incorporating this texture into the background of the following images. Thank you so much for watching. More process videos are up on my YouTube channel, and check out my social media accounts and my website for more of my work.